यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीय मामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीय मामृतात् ॐ.
This is Ishwar, Ramlutchman, Swamiji and other Swamis, Honorable Speaker of the Durban City Council, Councillor Logi, other members of Council present, Mr. Ishwar Ramlutchman, Mr. Maharaj, and the artist from India, the Jalota. Devotees, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank the honorary patron of the Divine Life Society in Rishikesh, Mr. Ishwar Ramlutchman, who invited me to participate in the satsang, as you remember both the birth of Shri Swami Shivananda. And of course, being here makes me recall many great moments that I had. One of the privileges of my life was meeting that servant of God and a disciple of Swamiji Shivananda, Swamiji Sahajananda, many decades ago. And of course, religion is meaningless if religion is merely words. But I think if there's anything that I've been taught by the Divine Life Society, it is that a living religion. Because speaking on behalf of my people in this province, I remember many schools that we built with the assistance of the Divine Life Society under the patronage of Swamiji Sahajananda and many other facilities. So it's a privilege for me to be in this celebration today by coming together, ladies and gentlemen, as spiritual beings, to listen and to enjoy the music and to talk about the truth. It is apt that we also celebrate the opening of this temple for the Shri Ganesha temple, will no doubt attract many seekers of truth in the years to come. Because I remember it's the second temple whose opening I attended, having had the privilege of opening the Chatsworth temple many years ago. I've been a seeker of truth for many years. I'm sure you won't believe it, for more than 8 years. I grew up in my uncle's palace, King Solomon Zulu. At that time, you know, few of my peers attended school. And if they did, it was only at the age of 7 or 8. There were not many books at the palace, and the children, including myself, spent most of their time outdoors playing and herding cattle. Nevertheless, I feel a compulsion, devotees, to learn to read, and by the time I was 5, I succeeded to read. And I've not stopped reading since then. And I fear that without knowledge, one can miss one's destiny. Because knowledge that does not find us. It prefers to be pursued. So we must become active protagonists of the journey of our lives. And this perhaps is why I feel such admiration for this young gentleman, Mr. Ramlutchman. This young man has taken charge of his destiny and is doing what he believes must be done. He has not waited for luck in business or a calling to philanthropy. He has worked hard to become the man of his faith, what his faith calls him to be. As you know, I'm the president of a party called the IFP since 1975. And I remember that as we were going up to the opening of the temple, the Honorable Speaker reminded me that my party is associated with Lord Ganesha because the elephant is our symbol. And you know, I'm a member of Parliament, as you said, and the traditional Prime Minister of the King and the Zulu Nation, and the chairperson of the House of Traditional Leaders in Zululand. I'm also a husband, I'm a father, and a grandfather. And I'm therefore well acquainted with tight schedules. I'm sure that that's what the Speaker can say about his own life, full of diaries and dual responsibilities. But I found good advice to cope with all this. In addition to all these to-do lists, create a personal to-be list. Now, the goal is not simply to get everything done that is required of us, but to be and become the person our highest faith calls us to be. Often, despite the business of life, Shri Swami Shivananda said, and I quote him, he said, eating, drinking, sleeping, a little laughter, much weeping, is that all? Do not die here like a worm. Wake up! I close the quotation. Yes, I must do so because there's a thing in English called plagiarism. I don't want to steal the wisdom of this great saint, as if it comes from our this. Swamiji was encouraging us, devotees, not to live from hand to mouth, without looking for a deeper meaning of life. Somehow his words echo that of the Greek philosopher Socrates, who while on trial for heresy in Greece said, and I quote him, an unexamined life is not worth living, unquote. It is true, ladies and gentlemen, that we need to live intentionally. The founder of the Divine Life Society, Shri Swami Shivananda, worked to achieve harmony within the individual and in community. In a sense, his teaching reflects the teaching of Ubuntu Butu, which is a world view of my own culture. It means that I am because you are. I am in relation to you. Whatever I do affects my community. I must therefore live with the active intention of benefiting those around me and refrain from doing them harm. My faith teaches, love your neighbor as you love yourself, quote unquote. There are so many streams of spirituality that flow into the river of truth. And I hope that as we continue to seek truth in our own lives and our own paths, we'll meet the source of truth. So that is in the end the destiny of every man, should I say, for every human being. Unless my sisters think I'm excluding them. I thank the Shivananda World Peace and Community Development Foundation for organizing today's special satsang. It is a pleasure to listen to Shri Anup Jalota and the troop who are visiting us from India. I know that if my friend Councillor Lord was he'll be pulling my coat because he knows the temptation that we politicians have, that when we have a captive audience like this, we never want to stop. So I'm saying, let us take time, my brothers and sisters, to reflect on how we are making our community better and creating the harmony Shri Swami Shivananda pursued. I salute that great saint, Swami Shivananda.